It's Saturday morning. It's 9 o'clock. It's time for the Monster Magic Saturday show. Let's do this.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Yay! Not only is it a Saturday morning, not only is it 9 o'clock, not only is it a Monster Magic Saturday show, but it's a bank holiday weekend. Woo! Yes, I hope you've all got some lovely things planned for this weekend. The weather is looking pretty dire at the moment, but fingers crossed. Who knows? You can always have barbecues in the rain. Us Brits know all about that, don't we? So, yes, it's a jam-packed show. I'm going to try and rattle through it a little bit because I don't want these shows to get too long. And so put your feet up, put the kettle on. Oh, no, finish putting the kettle on. Get your cup of tea. When you've got your cup of tea, come back and put your feet up and enjoy 30 minutes or so of me gabbling on about the latest reviews in Monster Magic, the latest tricks that have come in. So where to start? First up is Plucked Out by Jota. Yes, very careful how I said that. Jota has played around with the whole t-shirt plucking out of cards before. I think this is simply the best yet. What you basically have a t-shirt and it's got a graphic on the front, and the graphic is of a spread of 6 or 7 cards, and you can ask someone to select a card. Say select, and you can pluck that card straight off your t-shirt. Pretty good, very visual, quirky, lovely fun, off the wall effect. And an alternative effect you get with this, you get 2 effects in the one box. Is a princess card trick style effect, where you ask someone to think of one of the cards, you pluck it out with an envelope in your hand, and their card's vanished, and you can pull their card out of the envelope. Another lovely trick. And when Jota, as he says in the tutorial, he talks about this. I'm putting in Jota Jotter. His name is Jotter. I'm sorry. His English in the tutorial is fine. It's obviously not his first language, but he does do a pretty good job. And his hair is absolutely mesmerizing. I don't know what product he uses, but he really could be advertising it. So he does a very thorough tutorial, and what is nice about the tutorial is it's split up into various chapters, so it's very easy to watch and skip to whichever bit you're interested in, especially if you're going back to the effect after a while. But he talks about in the tutorial how he first of all was coming up with the princess card trick, and then Plucked Out, and he didn't know which effect was the best one, so he's included both. So what you get in here essentially is 2 heat transfers, those iron-on heat transfers that you get, and you put them on your t-shirt. So you supply the t-shirt, you have to do the ironing, but that way you've got a t-shirt that you like, or a t-shirt that fits, and you can choose what color it is and what suits your style. And those t-shirts, you can wear those as everyday t-shirts as you like. So this is almost an everyday carry. You can carry the gimmick in your wallet and just wear the t-shirt, and if someone says, you know, what's your hobby, or what do you do for a living, you can say, oh, I'm a magician, and almost set this up on the fly. And wow, what an amazing trick to do on the fly. I think this is really fun, really quirky, and I've taken one off the stock because I'm gonna to be doing this. I think it's just a really nice little fun thing to do, especially, you know, when you're just sort of going around a friend's house, or, you know, a casual party.
The effect may be poor for the youth, the ragamuffin of today, but pour moi, je vois mort in a pair of sneakers or a shirt at the tea.
So yeah, it's great. It is it's $44.99 now. For $44.99, you get the 2 heat transfers and the detailed instructions, and you can tell that Jotter's thought about everything. He gets how to make the gimmick exactly match your transfer. There's a lot of detail in the tutorial to make sure that you've got the visual deception just right, so the gimmick can hide nicely in plain sight. It's a really good project. Like I say, he's got a lot of experience of pulling things off of t-shirts, and I think he's really nailed it with this one. that is actually really, really strong magic. Yeah, I like it a lot. Well done, Jota. And now we've got Jump by Mickael Chatelain. No, don't jump out of bed. Stay where you are. This is another trick by Mikhail involving holes. The guy's obsessed with holes in playing cards. I don't know what it is. I think Michael Close with his pothole trick pretty much nailed it. But Mikhail's been playing around with it in various different schemes. He's had hole, he's had matrix, he's had hole 2.0, he's had matrix 2.0. He's had super hole, he's had matrix art, matrix revolution. The guy keeps going. Jump, I think, is one of the better ones. So a lot of those had various issues. Some were purely social media eye candy as far as I was concerned, and actually how they worked was far more fascinating than the effect they created. This is a proper magic trick in my book. What happens is you have your keys on a carabiner style keyring, and you show a playing card that has two holes in the corners, and you put them in the top corner, and you click your fingers or whatever magical gesture you desire, and the keys jump no less, to the bottom hole. It is really visual, it's really nice, and although obviously there's a gimmick involved, there is a cleanup tool which is really useful. What you get in the package is the gimmick already made up and the carabiner, so you're good to go right from the start, which is brilliant. And then he teaches you how to make the gimmick, and the gimmick isn't that hard to make, unlike a lot of the other tricks that he's put out. It's pretty simple. In fact, you could create an entire deck of them if you like, so you can actually destroy it at the end. He shows you ways of actually starting with the card, apparently, with no holes in it, and punching the holes in and then doing the trick. And there are cleanups taught and various things like that. One caveat is there's no live performance of it, and that obviously gives me alarm bells. But having watched the tutorial, played with the gimmick and so on, this will work in the real world, in my opinion. I personally haven't tried it out yet either, but I've rehearsed it, if you like. And I quite like the punching the holes out at the start, having the card selected, if you will, and then doing the trick, cleaning up and giving them the card out. It's really good. It's really good. You know what? I could probably show it to you, shouldn't I? Maybe I should just show it to you. Yeah. So that's Jump by Mickael Chatelain. I think it's got legs. He's had a few misses in the past. I think this one is definitely worth social media, 100%. Real life, I reckon it's about 80%. You can do lots of work and have a completely gimmick deck set up, which would be nice. And in fact, you could just do a one-way deck and you're good to go. $24.99 for Jump. Okay, now let's talk about the biggie, the really, really big one, the pre-order. Yes, don't we all love pre-orders? It's coming out on Monday, which is a bit of a pain for us in the UK because it's a bank holiday, so you probably won't get it till Tuesday now. I'm sorry. I don't control the post. If you live particularly close to Monster, I might drop it round to you if you're very, very nice. But yes, it is, of course, Premiere, yes, by Nikolas Mavresis. Well, it's too early in the morning to say, and David Jonathan, two incredible creators who've had loads and loads of hits, loads and loads of successes, and really know simple, devious methods and subtleties. And this combines a few different methods to create a multi-phased killer mentalism routine. It's called Premiere because it's based on films, which, to be fair, I think there's been enough mentalism based on films and film cards and film posters. But if you haven't already got lots of them, this is really good. I wish there'd be more with songs or something else. It always seems to be films. And the effect is quite simply, you tell a very tall story about how your local cinema has a mystery film club. I've never heard of a mystery film club, but I believe your spectators will go along with it because they do, and you're engaging, and it's a magic trick, so it's all absolutely fine. And you have some black envelopes, 5 black envelopes. You ask them to choose one, and inside they get to check out a film. The film's on a card, and they choose that film. They put it back in the envelope. The cards are then mixed, and you lay them out in a line across the table in a nice row of 5, and you introduce these tokens, and the spectator gets to choose which token goes on which envelope. You then pull out cards from each envelope, film cards, and to show that they've pulled out the first one would be One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You turn over the token that they've freely put on top of that envelope to show that it's got a 1 on the back. You then pull out the next one. It's Two Towers, the film's Two Towers. You turn over the token that they could have put on any of the other envelopes to show that that one's got a 2 on the back. Next one's Toy Story 3. You know where this is going. They turn over the token, it's got a 3 on it. And then you come to the number 4, and you pull the 4th envelope, and you pull that out, and that's got so 4, 7. Then you pull out that, and it's got it's the film 7. You turn the token over, and it's 7. And then the final one, you pull out the film, it's 8 Mile, and you turn over the token, and it's got 8 in it. So they have correctly put a token on the correct envelope to match the correct film. I don't know what the odds of that happening are, but it is mind-blowing. And that's where you'd imagine the trick to finish. But no, there's more. Because obviously they chose a film at the start. So what you do is you go, now you were thinking of just the film, weren't you? And you can remove all of the other films until you're left with the one film that they were thinking of, which in this case is going to be 8 Mile. Another hit. And then you show that if you rotate the chips round, they all spell 8 Mile in the order that they put them in. So they could have put the chips in any order, they could put them on any envelope, and it spells perfectly, and you've defined the film that they were thinking of. There's just a lot going on, but it's not confusing, which is pretty tricky to do. So it's very clear, the plot is clear, what the spectator has done is very free, but a lot happens. There's a lot of powerful magic included in this. It's great, it really is good. It's not hands off, so you really do have to handle all of the props yourself until the end. So what is very nice is when they're left with just the 5 chips and the 8 Mile film card, you are clean, and they can play with that as much as they like, pretty much, and you're laughing. So it's super easy. It takes a bit of, well, I mean, it does take a bit of practice, but it's easy. It's fun to do. You can talk about the films. You've got that nice hook of going to the cinema. You know, what films have you seen? Blah, 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 blah. All great stuff. And it's great value as well, because I think it is under £40. It's $37.99. And you get all of the envelopes, you get all of the thinking, you get all of the gimmicks.
8 Mile? No, never heard of it. Still, please tell me it's in Imperial and not metric. I like a bit of Meryl Streep myself. Well, that other lass, Sigourney Weaver.
Now, obviously, it does take up a bit of table space, because it's probably the one drawback, because you've got to put the cards down somewhere, but you don't have to spread them out necessarily. But strangely enough, it does pack quite small. When you've got it set up, it's only really one pocket. It's only really the 5 envelopes and the chips you're carrying around. So it's not a bad item to carry. You do just need a little bit of table space. And then, so it's one of those tricks to sit down with. I mean, I'd take this to easily pack this in my close-up case to take to a gig. So if I am sitting down, perhaps at the end of the gig or before the gig started, I can do it to amuse some people, or take easily to the pub or a restaurant with some friends and show it to them there. And because you went clean, it's really, really nice, and everything's packed away, and no one's going to ask you to get all that gubbins back out, are they? You are obviously limited to the one revelation, so you're not going to be doing this repeatedly for the same people. Not that you would, because you don't know what was coming. No one's going to enjoy the same trick as much the second time round anyway. So, and essentially, I know there's been some chat, oh, what's a shame there's only one revelation, but you'd have to come up with, a way of spelling it and everything else. So, I don't think that's ever gonna happen. But it's all beautifully made. The revelation's absolutely fine. I'm not sure if 8 Mile's the most popular film in the world. It certainly was, but I think it's probably about 20 years old now. But it's a great trick, a really good trick, well worth the $37.99. Next up, we have Scar Tissue by Mavresis and Penguin Magic. What a charming name for a trick, Scar Tissue. Lovely, lovely. And this is one of those branded style tricks. So the general effect is you ask someone to think of a card or to choose a card from a deck of cards. Don't tell you what it is. You produce a lighter, you pretend to burn your fingers a little bit, get a little bit hot, and you can show that you've got 2 blisters on your finger and your thumb that reveal their card. So, for example, you'd have an A and a spade for the ace of spades, or a Q and a heart for H heart. It's a plot that's been well travelled. It's a path that lots of people have wandered down, and this is very similar to a trick called Sharp Impression that was by, can't remember who it was by. But there's also been branded and burn, and lots of people have done it. This one is slightly, Method 01 as well by Karen Morelli, I should mention. And some of those are on your key ring, can I say that? Some of those are very convenient everyday carries. Some, you have to bring out a particular prop for. This is very similar to Sharp Impression, which, if you know that, you'll know vaguely what the gimmick looks like. It's not, with Sharp Impression, you just had the one reveal, which obviously made it quite limiting. This, you get all 52 cards, which is great. It's absolutely terrific. So you don't necessarily have to do any equivocate or any forcing or anything like that. You've got all 52 cards literally at your fingertips. The problem with that is the gimmick is crowded. So you're going to practice where everything is and how you're going to orientate it to make sure you get the right branding on your fingers. And Seth does do a good job of teaching you all about that. He also teaches simpler routines where you really just need to know a very limited number of positions so that you can do it so you can do it sooner without having to practice quite so much. And that obviously involves a bit of magician's choice. Seth has clearly performed this a lot. He clearly loves it. His passion comes through. It's a great little prop. If you love the whole branded burning scar tissue effects, then this is good. For me, it's a little bit voodoo-ish. It's not really my cup of tea. The idea of burning myself in some flames isn't my style. It fits, certainly. It does fit your style. It is a great little addition to all of the others. Yeah, and it's something you probably carry around anyway if you were doing magic. It's $23.99, and if it fits your style, go for it. It will, like I say, it does take a bit of practice to get to know where all 52 cards are. So if you're going to do a free selection, be prepared to put in a little bit of work and a little bit of practice. But you can carry it around with you and do it in your pocket as you're doing the local shop or doing the school run. So Seth is very passionate about it. He's obviously thought about it. He's obviously performed it a lot, and that's really nice to see. So it's a well thought out product. The tutorial's very thorough, and yeah, you get a lot. $23.99. It's one of those effects that I think really does have power in people's minds. It's just not for me.
A routine question. Have you recently sold any war surplus submarines, and if so, to whom?
And now we have another trick from Penguin. This one's been out a little while. It is Peanut Butter and Cheese by Josh Burch. It's an oil and water. Now, an oil and water is better, you know, not all magicians like oil and water. I think they've seen too many of them with too many phases to really get excited about it anymore. It's about like someone bringing out another ambitious card trick. Be like, yeah, okay. But I can remember when I first saw Rennie Levon do his I Can't Do It Any Slower. That was a brilliant trick, and it was one of the first oil and waters I've ever seen, if not the first, and I was blown away by it. I've done oil and water for Anthony Owen's version and also my own version, and people really do like it. For the layperson, the mixing and unmixing of cards, and especially when you can get it as visual as possible and as slow as possible, is great. They lap it up like a very thirsty dog. Believe me, it is. There's a reason why this plot has been around for so long, and there's a reason why lots of people do it, and the reason why lots of people come up with different versions. There are lots of ungimmicked versions which can be difficult. There's a great one Larry Jennings has a few, and there's some in Talk About Tricks, which is a very good book, just off the top of my head, but there are lots of them. And they sometimes they involve sleights, and you've got to do lots of displacements, and there's a lot to remember, and they're not always easy. Some are very difficult, some are slightly easier. This involves gimmicks that do virtually all of the work for you, and it gives you very visual phases. You have them separated, and they mix, and then they can unmix, and you can almost jazz with it. Once you know the moves, you can make it as long as you like or as short as you like. Don't make it too long. Please don't make it too long. But there are gimmicks involved. The displays are nice and clean. You can show the cards pretty freely, and he talks about how to clean up. He talks about how he'd get into it in a walk around environment, and how he would do it in a slightly more formal environment. So that's nice. So again, a little bit like Seth, Josh has been working this. I reckon he's been doing this for 10 years and really likes it, and has then released it. And he's got some nice subtleties, and he, yeah, again, as someone else who's really talking with a bit of passion about his trick and how pleased he is to be releasing it. And I just get a sense he really, really wants people to do it. And also because it's one of these strange oil and waters that you can actually do in social media as well. So looks great on your YouTube and your TikToks, but also in real life. And he does talk, like I say, he does talk how to clean up in case someone really does want to ask for your cards. In a professional gig, no one's really going to be grabbing at those cards, in my opinion, because of the clean displays at the start. But if you, if you're performing with friends and family, they can. And he talks about how to get out of, how to do that. And it's lovely. It's only $17.99 for what is essentially, I think, a killer piece of card magic. And I think it's been a little overlooked. Yeah. So well done, Josh, Peanut Butter and Cheese, and thanks very much for releasing it. And of course, there is breaking news in that 3 of the best sellers for this year are now back in stock. Hide a Key by Chris Rawlins is back in stock, and if you get it from me, you still get that lovely quick release keyring, snap lock keyring, which makes it all a little bit easier to do. You've got 52 Stunner is back in stock by Capilla, and you've also got the other one, Predictions by Roddy McGee, is also back in stock. So if you've missed them first time round, you can go back and get them. Other than that, please do subscribe to this channel if you like what I'm doing, because at the moment it's all for love. And now we're almost at the end, but I've got the big one. I say the big one, the heavy one. The BDM Hands Off, the perfect chest. It's not a chest, it's a box. But anyway, this is the classic plot that's been around for a long time. BDM have produced a couple of these before. What happens is you have a safe box, where those sort of cash tin boxes, and you have 5 keys. You have 5 spectators, each has a key. They test all 5 keys to show that only one of them opens the lock. Those keys then get mixed up, and they each grab a key, and you ask the spectator one by one. You put your key inside the chest. Put your key inside the chest. Oh, you've locked something valuable of yours inside the chest, or theirs perhaps, depends on what the plot is. Something that you definitely need to get back out. Could be your phone, could be your door keys, whatever. They then put these keys inside through a slot in the box, thus eliminating them from the chance of opening the lock, and therefore you are in real peril. If you get this wrong, you've lost whatever you've put inside that chest, because obviously you've put the key that unlocks the chest in the box. And you've got it, and then obviously you've just got one key left, and that key is shown to open the box, and you get your belongings back. It's a great plot, and this is the third version of it. It's based on, there have been lots of locks. There have been lots of locks and padlocks, and the 7 keys of bald pate is a well-known trick that's been around for 100 years, probably. I can't remember. Yeah, so it's based on, named after a film, Bald Pate Hotel, I think it was. Anyway, this is very, very safe, very, very hands-off. It's completely hands-off, and it's completely safe. It can't go wrong. With some of the previous padlocks that were out there, and also the other products that BDM produced, there was a need for audience management. So sometimes you might have to handle the keys, or sometimes you might have to be very careful with how a spectator uses the keys. With this, you are completely free. You can sit back and relax and just enjoy yourself. And there aren't very many tricks that are this open to this many great presentations, where you can really just enjoy yourself and have complete freedom to perform and to act and create whatever plot, routine, sense of being in peril, risk that you like. So if suit any performer style, you could be deadly serious, dark mentalist, or you could be a crackpot, loony comedy magician. You could come up with something with this box, and you are literally not touching anything. And that is just, I mean, is that not what a lot of people are looking for? You hear, you know, so many people, easy to do is what everyone's looking for. This is just, does it everything for you. It is completely hands off, and it is a great stage plot. Much like Oil and Water, it's just been around for so long. There is definitely something in it, and that sense of peril and the impossibility of it, it's incredibly fooling. It can be as highly entertaining as you make it. If you're a good actor, you can really ham it up. Well, not ham it up. Good actors don't ham it up, do they? But you know what I'm saying. It is pricey. It is, I can't remember how much it is, but it is quite a lot of money. But you've got a routine that can last, I mean, anywhere between, you could rattle it off in 5 minutes, or you can make it last 12 minutes. It's entirely up to you. You are limited to that box. Don't put the key that unlocks the box inside it when it's locked. That would be a disaster. Other than that, keep the box unlocked until you need it to be locked, is what they suggest. But yeah, it is a great thing. The tin is actually really nice. It's really well made. They've really thought of everything. I think in their previous versions, I think the first one, I can't remember what the first one was called, but that didn't have a slot. Getting Bloom suggested putting a slot in because he'd seen or heard about a routine that had the keys going into the box, and the keys going inside a lock box. That is great. People know that feeling of having locked them. It's similar to having locked themselves out of the house. You know, it's like, oh no. You know, so it does tug at people's emotions. And this one is the one that doesn't require no audience management whatsoever. You be hard pushed to mess it up. So it's great. Really is absolutely superb. I do really like it. I don't know why more people aren't raving about it. Maybe because it's the best part of £300, but it's well worth it. if you put together a good routine. So that's almost it for the Saturday show, but I thought it's time for another competition. Yes, and I thought what I'd do, I'd give away Jump as the prize, because when I opened up Jump, you'll get the one that I've just shown you, because I ripped the envelope and everything else, and if I sent that to someone, they wouldn't be best pleased, would they? So, well, not if you've won it though. If you'd won it, that's fine, because you haven't paid for it. So you get the carabiner. I've just used it a couple of times to check it out, to check that it's as good as I hoped. Yeah, so what I would like you to do, back on the old theme of creativity, is to think of a way of shuffling a deck of cards, any way of shuffling a deck of cards that's quite novel or creative, obviously. So what you want is something that's obviously, you could maybe not using your hands, maybe using another object. Maybe you could put them in your car boot and drive down around that magic roundabout in Swindon a lot of times very fast. Don't go doing that. That's a bad idea. Don't go doing that. You know, maybe you can put them in a blender, whatever it is. And you can either write it down in the comments, which is absolutely fine, or you can film yourself shuffling, mixing the cards. And to be honest, I'd love it if you could send in videos or post them on YouTube and give me the links, or however you want to share them, because part of the creative process is actually the doing bit. So a lot of people have good ideas and they never follow them through. They never start making them. There's that, and that's the bit, that's that little bit of effort that also makes, you know, that garner people this tag of creative. It's what it is saying, I've got an idea. I think that's quite a good idea. I think people will like that. I'm going to do it. So if you could please send in the video. If not, the comments is fine. And I really, really look forward to seeing what you come up with. So any method of shuffling a deck of cards, you can use machines, it can use other people, it can use other parts of your body. Yeah, maybe I don't want some of those videos that have just popped into my mind, but please give it a go. And yes, you can win Jump, which is worth a massive $24.99. And that's it. That's another Saturday show. It is the bank holiday weekend. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope it's been a nice start to the bank holiday weekend. And yeah, get out there, have some fun, do some magic for people, because that's what it's all about. That is the best bit, isn't it? We've got this lovely hobby that brings a little bit of joy to people's lives. So really just go out there, take something with you. It doesn't have to be an everyday carry, even if it takes up a bit of pocket space, and put a smile on someone's face with your wonderful hobby that is magic. Thank you very much. Until next time. Please subscribe. Please just click subscribe. Please, trying to get to at least 500 sometime soon. Sometime in my lifetime, I'd like to just click subscribe. Go on, please.